Hare Krishna. So, I want to continue reading in the Chaitanya Sikshamrta Bhaktivinode Thakur. It's very authoritative. He covers so many of the different aspects of devotional life, devotional service, and practical applications within society also. I mean, it's a very in-depth study. And we're on chapter 2. So, Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskitadi Satarni. So this is part 1 of chapter 2. It's called Introduction. The first section explained about bhakti, which is the abhideya, or the only means to attain prema. It was also shown that karma and jnana are not direct means, though they have a role to play. Karma and jnana may be designated as secondary means, whereas hearing and chanting are primary means. Though secondary, they may be called the means for those jivas deeply bound by Maya. Jnana and karma are secondary means, and bhakti is the principal means. Jnana and karma help in the process of bhakti, and bhakti produces prema. The relationship will be later discussed. Inasmuch as karma and jnana can make the body, mind, and environment favorable for bhakti, they can be accepted as means. Otherwise, they're condemned in the scriptures as materialistic endeavors. After describing the secondary rules, the conclusion will be presented. Secondary rules are of 3 types. Rules regarding self, rules regarding society, and rules regarding afterlife. Rules regarding the self are of 2 types, those for body and those for mind. Those rules to keep a man's body properly nourished so he can remain healthy are the bodily rules. Such things as regulated drinking, eating, sleeping, exercise, and for sickness, prescriptions for cure are bodily rules. If a person does not follow these rules, he cannot pass through life smoothly. If a person does not follow the mental rules, his power of realization, concentration, imagination, contemplation, and judgment will be weak and will not properly function. There will be no advancement in arts and sciences, and moreover, one will not be able to take the mind from material thoughts and direct it to thoughts of God. As a result, the mind will be dominated by sinful thoughts, atheistic attitude. Finally, man become no better than beast. Therefore, these bodily and mental rules are very necessary for success in human life. Men live together in society. There are certain rules prescribed for elevation of the populace and avoidance of criminal mentality. An example of a rule for social stability is the prescription of marriage. Without rules for marriage, society could not progress to the present state. Men used to wander around like animals. In the beginning, there were no rules for marriage. But as this created great social problems, marriage customs were introduced. Giving up his freedom, a man takes a woman with consent from others and the witness of God and lays the foundation for family life. The parents are obligated to protect and teach the children and provide a means for them to make a living. For the benefit of family life, such concepts as mutual brotherhood, helping others in difficulty, earning a livelihood by honest means, speaking the truth, avoiding lying are established. The tendency towards social stability is a dominant characteristic of the human species. It is visible in all human races. As a society or civilization advances, one will find a greater degree of rules for social stability. There is consensus that amongst all civilization, the Aryans were the most progressive. There can be no doubt that among the Aryans, the people of Bharata were the most advanced in knowledge, intelligence, and social organization. One should not lose respect for the Aryan civilization just because with age it has become weak and dependent on other cultures. Because some ignorant persons dispute the advanced state of the Aryan civilization, that does not mean it loses its importance. If one reads the Dharma Shastra, he can understand how much the Aryan civilization of Bharata achieved in implementation of social rules. In fact, all serious, thoughtful men must accept that this civilization, through the guidance of sages, achieved the highest state of social regulation in the world. They divided social rules into two parts after thorough deliberation, Varna and Ashram. Men in such a society have two aspects: basic nature and stage of life. Their nature is fixed by following the rules for individual development, mental and bodily, and their stage of life is fixed according to the social rules. As man becomes more social, observance of rules for the self do not decrease, but rather increase in significance. From an individual's nature arises the rules of varnas, and from progressive stages of life comes the ashrams. When man's bodily and mental tendencies gradually develop by cultivation, they attain a fixed stage where one quality dominates all others. That quality is a man's nature. There are four natures: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. These four varnas have arisen on the basis of the positive qualities of men. With the display of negative qualities, the outcast from the social system arises. For a person in such a situation, there is no alternative but to give up negative qualities. From birth until the appearance of a predominant nature in the individual, environment and discipline are the factors which nourish the seed. The seed then sprouts, grows, and finally manifests as one's nature. The authors of Scripture have explained, of course, that the actions of previous lives is the ultimate cause of the nature. The nature of the family into which a child is born determines the child's qualities through hereditary factors. Later, by training and environment, that nature will improve or degrade. A man of Sudra nature will produce offspring of Sudra nature, and a man of Brahminical nature will produce Brahminical offspring. That's the general rule, but not the absolute rule. The writers of Scripture made arrangements for samskaras, or purificatory rites, with the intention of fixing the varna of a person after determining his nature. However, with time, these rites have become corrupted. When the rites which determine the varna became lost, the country became degraded. However, there can be no doubt that the rules of varna are the real rules for society. The stages of life are four: brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. The brahmachari is the person who, before marriage, gets education and is free to wander. The grihastha is the person who gets married and takes up family responsibilities. The person who, upon aging, gives up work and lives alone is a vanaprastha, and one who gives up all relations with his family, is free to wander, is a sannyasi. The system set up after working out the relation of the varnas and ashrams is called varnashram dharma. This dharma is the social code for the people of Bharata. If a country lacks this system of dharma, it cannot be called an advanced society. In the third part of this chapter, these things will be discussed in detail. Because I desire that human beings may achieve perfection, I have presented 3 paths of advancement: the path of knowledge, the path of work, and the path of devotion. Besides these 3, there is absolutely no other means of elevation. That's from Srimad Bhagavatam. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much, or eats too little, sleeps too much, does not sleep enough. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities, becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. And that's from Bhagavad Gita. The house is not a household without a wife. The husband, along with the wife, can attain all his goals. And that's from Shmiti. We're not sure which one. He doesn't quote which one. Dirtiness, dishonesty, thievery, faithlessness, useless quarrel, lust, anger, and hankering constitute the nature of those in the lowest position outside the varnashram system. That's from Bhagavatam. If one shows the symptoms of being a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra as described above, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. And that's from Bhagavatam. And that is the end of Chapter 2, Part 1, the introduction.